Hello, YouTube. I have seen many movies in my time, but none of them are as messed up as this. This movie makes no sense. Even the opening doesn't make any sense. Nothing in the movie makes sense. But I had to stick through it for you guys, so let's waste no time being around the bush. We're back at Dinosaur Story. God. So, the story in its easiest way to be described is there's a group of 4 dinosaurs that have been sent by Professor New Eyes, a man who has a wish radio, even though the only wish that he seems to want to answer is little kids wanting to see dinosaurs, because, there are no other wishes like for world peace, cure for cancer, cure for any other type of disease like diabetes or Alzheimer's, or like a cure, or maybe, starvation being finished, racism being abolished, all that stuff. No, that's just ignored. That's just on the side to them. Like, no soldiers, I'm guessing, would. I mean, a soldier, they might never say, "Oh yeah, I really wish I could get home and see my family again." No, he just wants to answer the wishes of little children. And they're just saying, "I want to be a dinosaur because they're dinosaurs, and that'd be kind of cool." So this group of dinosaurs is thrown into the Hudson River, or at least I'm assuming that's the Hudson. I suck at geometry. So they are thrown into the river where they meet Louie, a boy who tells them about the city and who honestly brings up what cliche he is, the original tough guy. That's literally, he actually does bring that up at one moment. He's like, yeah, no, this is what I act like. Like, he brings up his own cliche. And they also meet Cecilia, who's, all I can say is just a very horny little girl. It's really all I can say about her. But they have been warned to not cross paths with Professor Screw Eyes, Professor New Eyes' brother. They cross paths with him. Okay, wait a minute, I forgot to bring up one thing. Okay, these dinosaurs have been given brain boosters, or at least that's what they say in the film, to make them smarter, so that's why they're not eating everyone. I just forgot to bring that up. But they eventually do cross paths with Professor Screw Eyes, who runs this weird nightmare show, which is in no way scary, it's just more surreal. But apparently it scares a lot of people. I don't know why. And apparently Cecilia and Louie have made the incredibly dumb idea to sign a contract with this man. Why? I don't know. He doesn't even look like a guy you should sign a contract with, especially since he says, here's a contract of a blank piece of paper. At least Ursula had writing on her contract. Very hard to read writing, but it was still writing. This guy has nothing. And apparently you had to sign it in blood. Didn't even really give you a chance to question whether or not you should. He, pricks your finger and then he's just like, hey, do you want to sign? You're just like, well, I don't know. And he's like, yeah, too bad. And there you go. Okay, now you work for me forever. And I can do whatever I want with you. I can even make you an animal. So deal with it. Because, yeah, I would totally trust that guy. And he makes a deal with the dinosaurs, Rex, Wong, Elsa, and Dweeb? Yeah, I don't care. He makes a deal with all of them, and they decide to trade up their intelligence that they've been given by Professor New Eyes to save these kids that they've hardly even made a connection with. God, they're geniuses. So, yeah, that's basically the story in a nutshell, but there's a ton more things I didn't talk about here, like how the story starts off with a dinosaur playing golf. Why? Why is the dinosaur playing golf? Does he have a break from his job that apparently he has to play golf? Do all the dinosaurs have a break? Did they have to make a private island for the dinosaur to play golf and for the dinosaurs to spend their break? Um, does did they have to make golf clubs and golf balls and a golf cart for this dinosaur to play golf? I don't. There's so many questions about this, but no, none of them are answered. But likewise, okay, pretty much from that opening, you should be able to get what this whole entire story is like. Completely nonsensical. Nothing in the story makes sense. Like, why, again, with the Wish Radio, why did New Ice not want to work on any of these bigger issues? Seeing as he has a time machine, he could probably work on tons of different things, but, random kids talking about dinosaurs seems to be the biggest problem in the world. Why don't I just deal with that? Like, he could stop some world wars, he could stop the Civil War, he could go and stop the Kennedy assassination, he could go save Abraham Lincoln, he could go and stop Hitler, he could stop the Cold War from even starting, he could go and help the world from when the stock market crashed. But no, kids talking about dinosaurs, this seems to be the biggest problem in the world. This seems to be the one that happened worst. But yeah, I guess I know. Don't alter with history. Back to the Future taught us that, but still. Really, why couldn't you help someone? Would we really have hurt the world that much? I mean, I don't know. Then you could just go, I mean, if it does end up to be a dumb idea, then you can just go back in time again and then just stop yourself from doing it, can't you? But anyway, the story is completely nonsensical and makes absolutely no sense, and that's really its biggest downside, because the idea of dinosaurs coming back could have been kind of cool. Like, who knows, they could have gone the route with Jurassic Park. They even reference Jurassic Park in this film because the studio that works on this movie is actually created by a Steven Spielberg production. Like, Steven Spielberg wanted to do this, so they could do something like Jurassic Park. And we know that Steven Spielberg could do that. But, why not just make it incredibly dumb and nonsensical? And that seems to be the only route that this film could take with its story. It didn't have much to offer, so for the story, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 10. Because of its nonsensical nature, it makes absolutely no sense, but the thing is, it could have been good with a nonsensical nature. And it sort of seemed like they were trying to go for a route of a good movie, but it's too nonsensical, and doesn't know what angle it's trying to take. So, 2 out of 10. Let's go on to the characters. Okay, so for the characters, it's honestly the hardest part to talk about with this movie, because they're all basically the same. Or at least they're all cardboard cutouts of each other. Except for a few, but then they're just other cliches and don't try to do anything about it. Aside from, like, 2 characters, which are different, but there's a reason why they haven't been done before. It's because they're awful. So, okay, let's just start off with the main character being Rex. Rex is basically just the main protagonist. There's nothing really to him. We don't really know that much about him except for he doesn't like to be savage. So there's really nothing that they do with him to step him outside of the cliche that he's already stuck in, making him just feel like all the other characters in this movie being bland and wooden. Then there's Wong, I think, who is basically just like Rex, except he's just a different cliche. His cliche is that he's the fat one. Really, that's it. He's just the fat one. I mean, he eats hot dogs all the time. He stops in the middle of a chase to eat hot dogs. He's just the fat one. That's it. There's nothing original about him. He doesn't do anything to try and be original. He doesn't try and stop for a moment with doing any of this and try to take himself seriously. No, he's just the fat one. And that is awful that they did that. They did that route. And then there's Elsa, and again, let it go comments, let that go. It's a trend that's over. But, she's a pterodactyl, and she's the mature one in the group. That is when she's not being incredibly stupid. I mean, really, all that she does is just be the mature one. Nothing new, nothing that separates her from any other stereotypes of that. She's just the mature one. Nothing new is offered, and nothing to be seen. Nothing new to be seen, and there's nothing new to be offered. And then there's Dweeb, who, even from his name, you know what cliche he is. He's the idiot one. He's the doofus. And that's all. Nothing new, nothing original, just the idiot. Then there's Louie, who I already talked about a little bit. How he even knows his own cliche. He actually says it in the film. He says he acts like the original tough guy. And that's all that he is, except younger. That's all that he does is act like the original tough guy, as he says it. And he doesn't really do anything to change that. I mean, sure, he does try and become a little bit nicer as the film progresses, but that's it. And he doesn't really offer that much in how he's changed, and they don't really talk about how he's changed anyway, so he doesn't really do anything new. Then there's Cecilia, who is one of the characters that are different than other characters usually are, but in this case, I wish that she was just another cliche, because this is just a horny little girl. I mean, good God. She's like constantly saying, "Oh, Louie, kiss me, kiss me." I'm like, why? Why? What's so great about him? Why do you want him to kiss you so much, you weird little girl? Stop being horny and creepy and just go. Get out of this picture. We don't need you. And sure, she does try and be like the perfect little girl at times. Like, they would bring up how she's like, "Oh yeah, you're way too perfect of a little girl at times." But when she's not being a perfect little girl, she's being a horny little girl. So I would much prefer her to be like the perfect little girl. And then there's Captain New Eyes, who is probably my favorite character out of the movie, although that might come from how he hardly says anything or hardly does anything. Again, though he does have major flaws, like how he could help all these other big problems in the world, but besides, little kids flying dinosaurs, that's my biggest problem. But what I probably like about him is that he's sort of going for more the angle of a nice, kind person. Like, he wants to do this because he wants to help little kids go farther in life. He wants to get kids to know a little bit more about dinosaurs and everything, which is sort of a nice thing to do. His heart's in the right place, but his motive for doing it definitely isn't. And then there's Professor Screw Eyes, who was the brother of Professor New Eyes. I guess he lost his eye at one point because he has a screw for an eye. I have no idea how that happened. Apparently it's an enchanted screw because he can control other people's will with it. Yeah, is it enchanted? Again, never explained. It just bugs me. But he is like the other character that's sorta different in his approach, but doesn't really do anything new or inventive with them. So it's really pointless in making him new and different in the first place, but his character is the villain. Yeah, really, that's it. He's just the villain. I'm sure he just want to cause people nightmares, which is kind of a different angle, but it doesn't really seem to go anywhere aside from his show. And he's basically just Ursula, except a whole lot less developed, doesn't get a cool musical number, and doesn't go anywhere. And then there's Warp, who, oh my god, this character is so annoying. He's hardly in the film. He's like this little green alien, and that's pretty much it. He's just like a little henchman to New Eyes. Nothing really more to say about him aside from that. And then there's Stubbs. Brother Stubbs. Yeah, I think it's Stubbs. Who is this clown who stupidly doesn't know that Professor Screw Eyes is a bad person. How does he not know that? He seems to know what he does, so how does he not know he's a bad person that he shouldn't be working with? And he keeps on saying, oh yeah, now that's comedy, that's comedy. No, he's not funny at all. He's not funny in the least. He's just incredibly annoying and obnoxious. And that's really all there is to him. He's just an annoying, obnoxious idiot who seems to not think that Professor Screw Eyes is a bad person, even though it's obvious that he is. And then there's little Buster, and oh my god. This guy's the final stereotype, thank God. But, in fairness, he's the last character. And his stereotype's probably the worst and the most seen. He's the cute little kid. That's really it. He's just a cute little kid who doesn't learn anything in the end. I mean, he's still being picked on by his older brothers, so what'd he learn in the end? Absolutely nothing. He just learned that, hey, maybe it's good to be a mama's boy or something. Okay, I guess he didn't turn out like a psycho, but still. He doesn't really do anything with the stereotype. He doesn't try to avoid being it, so he doesn't really accomplish anything. So all the characters in this movie is either a stereotype or a cutout of every other character in this. Like the clown and the alien thing, they're basically the exact same, except one's a little bit more annoying. The dinosaurs are practically all the same, except for they have a little bit of a personality that sets them apart from each other. So they're basically all just cutouts with a little bit of a mistake at one point. So for the characters, I'm gonna give it a I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 10 because they're all the same. They don't feel different. They don't feel inventive. They don't feel like they're trying to do anything original or clever. So, yeah, 2 out of 10. Now on to the animation. And now we're on to probably the best part out of the whole film, which is the animation. Now, this animation is done by the same people who did the first out of the Balto trilogy. Yeah, what is that trilogy? And it shows. Like, their animation in both of those movies, and they also did Spyfall Goes West, which is, again, good animation. Well, it really shows that they know what they're doing with animation. They know just how to make it, stretchy enough, but also know how to keep it simplistic and keep it down to a basic form. So, I'm actually kind of sad that they're in such a bad movie. Because they have talent, they clearly do. And it would later show up that they do in Balto, because that is a good movie. And it shows they do have talent, they know how to do some things. But then we just get things like this, where it's so obvious that they were trying. They thought that this could have been good. They thought that this could have gone somewhere, yet instead they didn't know what it was going to be like. It seems like they really did have a passion for their animation, that it does turn out beautifully. It does look beautiful, it looks wonderful, and it's bright and colorful, and they have great use of shadow, too. Like, especially in Professor Screw Eyes Circus, they have a great use of shadow there. Like, making it all sorts of different colors are going around. They have a beautiful color palette. But sadly, they attached it to this movie. Now, that's a real shame to me, because it's not like Balto, they're much better. And their animation does show that they are a lot better and more capable. But here, it just doesn't work. And it feels so out of place. But that's not to say the animation is bad. I mean, the animation is beautiful. but it's just so out of place in such a dumb, over-the-top, and nonsensical movie. So, for the animation, gotta give it a 7 out of 10. Probably, definitely the best rating I've given this movie, but just the animation is so beautiful, so colorful, and so bright, and it sadly was just attached to this. So, for We're Back at Dinosaur Story, it definitely should have stayed in the Jurassic period, because it doesn't work. It's all over the place. The story is completely nonsensical and doesn't go anywhere. It's just a mess. Everything about it's a mess, and it just doesn't have anything that works right. So, for the film itself, I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 10. Yeah, that bad, people. Because it just doesn't make any sense. And in some things that does work. Like in some movies it's just sort of fun to just get behind what's going on. But they don't give you any characters to attach to that you would want to see go through a nonsensical story. And the story is just so dumb and incredibly messed up. But the animation is nice. So that's really all that there is to say about it, is that the animation is nice. That's the only good thing I had to say. So yeah, 3 out of 10. And next week I'm going to do To Terabithhia. Bye.